Seth Rollins stood in the shadows of the parking lot, and if you think you've seen chaos in wrestling before, you haven't seen anything like this. Because tonight, something happened that could change everything between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And the craziest part? Roman Reigns wasn't alone. But neither was Seth Rollins. Right beside Seth stood a group of silent figures, all wearing identical black masks. No faces. No words. Just watching. Watching Roman Reigns. And if what happened next is true, the entire WWE locker room should be terrified. Before we break this down, I want to ask you something real quick. If you were Roman Reigns and you walked out to your car and saw Seth Rollins waiting there with a group of masked men, would you confront him? Or would you leave immediately? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Because what Roman Reigns did next shocked everyone. The night started normally. Fans had already seen an explosive appearance from Roman Reigns earlier in the arena. The tribal chief looked calm, confident, and untouchable like always. You know how it is when Roman walks. Slow. Focused. Like the entire world moves around him. But backstage? Something felt different. Security cameras later revealed that someone had been standing near the parking lot for nearly 20 minutes. Just standing there. Not moving. Not talking. That person was Seth Rollins. But Seth wasn't dressed like his usual flashy self. No bright suits. No crazy laughter. Instead, he wore a long dark coat, and behind him stood 6 masked figures. 6. Not 2. Not 3. 6 masked men. All silent. All staring at the entrance where Roman Reigns usually exits. Now, here's the interesting question. Why would Seth Rollins bring masked men to meet Roman Reigns? What was the plan? Was this intimidation? Was it revenge? Or was it something much bigger? Let me know in the comments what you think those masked men were there for. Because when Roman finally walked toward the parking lot, the tension became unreal. Imagine the scene. The arena lights are dim. Most of the crew have already left. Roman Reigns walks out with that same slow confidence we all know. His championship energy still surrounding him. But the moment he approaches his car, he sees them. Seth Rollins. Standing right next to it. And those 6 masked figures behind him. Not moving. Not speaking. Just waiting. Roman stops walking. For a few seconds, nobody moves. And if you know the history between these two men, you already understand why this moment was so explosive. These two aren't just rivals. They're former brothers. Members of the legendary faction known as the Shield. Alongside Dean Ambrose, they once dominated WWE like no group before them. But then, everything fell apart. Seth Rollins betrayed the group in one of the most shocking moments in WWE history. Ever since that night, the tension between Rollins and Roman has never truly disappeared. Even years later, the respect is complicated. The rivalry is personal. And tonight, that history came back in the most dangerous way possible. Roman Reigns looks at Seth. Seth slowly smiles. Not the loud laugh we're used to. Just a quiet, unsettling smile. Then Seth takes one step forward. The masked men stay exactly where they are. Roman doesn't move. Not even an inch. Now here's another question for you guys. Be honest. Who wins in a real fight? Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins? Comment Roman or Seth right now. Because according to backstage sources, the conversation between these two got heated very fast. Seth Rollins reportedly told Roman something chilling. He said, "You've been the tribal chief for too long." Then he looked back at the masked men and said something even more terrifying. "Tonight, you see the future." Roman Reigns reportedly laughed. Yes, laughed. Because Roman has never been someone who gets intimidated easily. After all, this is the man who ruled WWE for years. The man who defeated legends. The man who built the Bloodline Empire. So Roman stepped closer to Seth, closer to the masked men, and asked one simple question. Who are they? Seth paused. And the masked men took one synchronized step forward. At this point, security backstage was already starting to panic. Because nobody knew who these people were. They weren't WWE staff. They weren't known wrestlers. They were just masked figures standing behind Seth Rollins. Roman looked directly into Seth's eyes and said something that reportedly made the tension even worse. "You need 6 people to talk to me now?" That line alone instantly made the situation feel like it was about to explode. Because Seth Rollins has always prided himself on being one of the smartest minds in wrestling. But tonight, he wasn't alone. And nobody knew why. Now here's where things got even stranger. One of the masked men slowly raised his hand. Not aggressively, just slowly, and pointed directly at Roman Reigns. Roman's reaction? He didn't step back. He stepped forward, right into their space. The tribal chief wasn't backing down, and Seth Rollins looked almost impressed. But then Seth said something that reportedly stunned Roman. He said, "You built a bloodline, but I built an army." And suddenly, the meaning of those masked figures started to feel very different. What if they weren't just random people? What if Seth Rollins had been secretly building something? Something designed specifically to destroy Roman Reigns. Think about that for a second. For years, Roman had the power of the bloodline behind him. But now, what if Seth Rollins had his own faction ready to rise? Let me ask you guys something. Do you think Seth Rollins should lead a new faction in WWE? Yes or no? Comment below. Because if that's what this moment was hinting at, WWE might be heading into its most dangerous power struggle yet. Back in the parking lot, things were getting even more intense. Roman slowly looked at each masked man, one by one, trying to figure out who they were. But nobody spoke. Nobody removed their mask. They just stood there, watching, waiting. Then Seth Rollins leaned closer to Roman and said something quietly. Something that only Roman could hear. And whatever Seth said changed Roman's expression instantly. The confident smile disappeared. The atmosphere turned cold. And suddenly, Roman opened his car door. But he didn't get inside. Instead, he looked back at Seth and said one final sentence. "Be careful what you start." Then Roman got into the car and drove away. But here's the part that nobody can stop talking about. As Roman's car pulled away, all 6 masked men slowly turned their heads and watched him leave. At the exact same time. Like a unit. Like soldiers. And Seth Rollins? He started laughing. That loud, chaotic Rollins laugh that sends chills down your spine. Because whatever Seth is planning, it's only just beginning. Now let me ask you something very important. What if those masked men are actually WWE superstars hiding their identities? Imagine that twist. Imagine if one of those masks comes off, and it's a huge name. Someone Roman Reigns never expected. Who do you think could be under those masks? Type the name of a WWE superstar you think might be part of Seth's army. Because rumors backstage are already exploding. Some people believe Seth Rollins is creating the most dangerous faction WWE has seen in years. Others think this was just psychological warfare against Roman Reigns. But either way, this confrontation has started something huge. And if Roman Reigns decides to respond, things could get violent very fast. Remember, these 2 men know each other better than almost anyone else in wrestling. They fought together. They dominated together. And they betrayed each other. Which means if a war is coming, it won't just be physical. It will be personal. So, here's my final question for you. If Seth Rollins really brings this masked army to the ring, and Roman Reigns calls the bloodline for backup, which side wins the war? Team Roman Reigns? Or Team Seth Rollins? Comment your answer right now. Because if this confrontation in the parking lot was just the beginning, the next chapter could explode inside the ring. And when Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns finally collide again, WWE might never be the same. Stay ready, because the storm between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns has officially begun.